Hello and welcome to a brand new video on my channel. Today I'm thrilled to present part 9 of the story Curse of Bloodlust. I had a lot of fun writing this episode, and I hope you'll enjoy diving into this world with me. So without further ado, let's jump right into the story.
As Rune looks around, she realizes how long she's been tinkering and immersed in those books, and that Gaius has already left. The memory of his farewell makes her smile sheepishly. She'd been so absorbed in her magical research that time around her seemed to lose all meaning. Sitting there with one eye half closed and her wild mane of hair rumpled, she must have resembled a baby owl that had only just awakened. "Don't worry that you were so engrossed in your research," Michael says with a warm smile and a sparkle in his eye. "But we really must return you to the International Magic Academy, Intermagics. The school year can't carry on without you. If you interrupt me, it must be urgent," Rune replies, rising and following Michael toward the limousine. "But I'd like to continue my study of ritual magic. It's fascinating that there are rituals for almost every purpose, and they're as old as magic itself. What I've learned about the different eras of the magical world is especially intriguing." Words pour out of her like a waterfall as she describes her fascination with a long-forgotten age and its history. There had been not only an extraordinarily long period of magical development but also a high civilization in the magical world that allegedly reached the stars, the legendary Babylonian culture. What they achieved sounds more like science fiction than magic. Every account of Babylon's rise and cataclysmic fall shares one detail. They meddled with something they shouldn't have, something more powerful than anything seen before, and it destroyed the greatest civilization in magical history. It's a stark reminder of how dangerous it can be to break the fundamental rules of this world. Time travel, Rune thinks, is a perfect example of catastrophic rule breaking. "What I find most interesting," she continues, "is that some rituals are species specific. What works on a human might affect a vampire differently. Yet any ritual that interacts directly with magic seems universal. Whether a body belongs to a vampire, a dwarf, a troll, or a fairy, magic operates the same way. It's also remarkable that magic isn't physically anchored to the body. I could lose an arm or even exist only as a head, and my magical capacity, my pool of arcane power, would remain unchanged. Who in their right mind tested that? Magic clearly isn't limited by the body, yet it can influence it. That suggests two possibilities. Either magic is stored in the body and returns to the remainder when a part is lost, or magical capacity exists independently of any physical vessel, so even a disembodied limb retains its magic briefly, but power flows back to the core, keeping the user capable of casting. That would explain why pure intent-based magic is possible. If I can will something with enough determination, my magic obeys my intent. Theoretically, I could cast spells as a head in a jar, though I have no pressing desire to test that." Her voice is calm, but a fierce excitement simmers beneath every word. In her eyes, sparks of wild inspiration dance like glowing embers beneath ash. Michael knows better than to judge. He understands that brilliance often walks hand in hand with a touch of madness. Intelligence and insanity are both spectrums, he reminds himself. Rune may excel at learning and processing knowledge, yet struggle at planning, though even there she's improved dramatically over the past weeks and months. He believes she still has room to grow, and that she's both willing and ready to improve. "If I'm honest," he admits, "I'd find it boring if you were flawless. Perfection can't progress. It's unrealistic to expect someone to be perfect. It doesn't exist in our world. You're doing very well." Yet even as he thinks this, Michael can't help but feel a pang of concern about the coming revelation of the mythological world, an event he knows will happen within days. Still, he's confident that Rune and her family will weather it better than most. In that moment, Michael truly sees Rune Silverstar Blackstone, heir of the Silverstar line, as part of his own family. Before they know it, they arrive again at the School of Magic Arts. After a brief farewell, Rune strides calmly toward the ancient stone gate that separates realities for the coming week of classes, only to realize she isn't certain she has her student ID. No one wants to be torn apart between worlds by a barrier mishap, so she first double-checks, making sure the card is genuine and intact. It would be terribly anticlimactic to be torn apart at a dimensional barrier, she thinks, clutching her student ID tightly as she passes through the unassuming black stone archway tucked into the German mountains. For a brief second, she feels as though she's falling in every direction at once. Then with a soft plop, she emerges onto a walkway of white marble and gold. A handful of other students, returning from their own weekend excursions, arrive moments later. But what draws Rune's attention is a scarlet-skinned woman with blue eyes and raven black hair, dressed in a somber outfit, staring straight at her. Suddenly, the woman's eyes flash, and Rune feels an instinctive tug in her chest as she activates her own innate magic, her eyes widening in both shock and fear. Is this some kind of joke? Rune thinks. How can someone use their innate magic on me at this exact moment? And it has to be that particular magic. That's cheating. I'm doomed if she tells anyone else. An uncontrollable urge to kill flares within her. Her blood-red eyes ignite with a dangerous inner fire, not merely metaphorically but in a palpable, physical way. Rune brings a hand to her lips, watching as the stranger leans forward, barely containing a bout of nausea, and then vomits into the bushes. Rune studies the stranger's fearful, wide eyes. Echidna, can I help you? What's wrong? An elf asks as he hurries to the scarlet-skinned woman. Yes, I'm fine. Don't worry about me, Echidna replies, her heart pounding with more nervousness and fear than ever before. It feels as though her heart might burst from her chest. But more than her friend's concern are the humiliation of vomiting out of nowhere. What weighs heaviest on Echidna is the brilliant, all-consuming white flame radiating from Rune Silverstar. She immediately regrets using her innate magic. Eye of absolute truth. On Rune, for what she saw should have been impossible, all sparked by a moment's curiosity. The immense potential in that white, blazing fire almost engulfed the entire academy. It was unimaginably powerful, and felt malleable rather than fixed. Yet it was potential stronger than anything Echidna had ever witnessed. And if that weren't bad enough, Echidna thinks in terror, this monster inhuman, or rather, vampire, form saw me use my innate magic on her. How in the world is that even possible? I'm screwed. She'll definitely kill me. I have to somehow convince her I'm not a threat. I don't even know what her innate magic is, but she figured out what I did, and then used her own magic against me. Cold sweat breaks out across her back and forehead as she thinks this, the world around her beginning to blur, until a pair of strong hands catch her. For a moment Echidna thinks it's one of her friends, until she hears a gentle voice. My dear, what's wrong? You really don't look well, Rune says, supporting Echidna and offering a kind smile. It doesn't take long for Echidna and her friends to realize it's the famous, Ice Princess, of the first years, the vampire admired for her beauty, who always rebuffed admirers with frosty aloofness. Yet Rune herself seems unaware of the nickname she's earned at Intermagics. I can't just accept her help. This vampire will definitely want something bad for me, Echidna thinks, staring at Rune, who now looks concerned in a way she hadn't before. As Echidna studies Rune, her heart races and the world seems to shrink until it's just the two of them, Rune leaning so close that Echidna can feel her breath on the back of her neck. You should have curbed your curiosity. The truth can be dangerous, Rune whispers so softly that Echidna nearly misses it, but it sends an icy shiver down her spine. I think she needs some rest. I'll take care of her. If necessary, I'll bring her to a healer here at the academy, Rune says, her tone friendly and concerned to everyone but Echidna. Echidna's friends and fellow creatures exchange shrugs and turn away. They don't even bother to protect her, or perhaps they're simply not invested enough in what just happened. A demon at this school is rare enough, and no one would risk angering a vampire just to save one. Echidna sees clearly that they don't care about her fate. Come back. I need your help. You can't just leave me alone with this vampire. She'll drain me dry if she gets the chance. And how did she even know I used my innate magic on her? Echidna panics in her mind, cold sweat breaking out across her skin. Seeing that no one is coming back, Rune offers Echidna a false smile and leads her off the main path into a smaller side trail, a narrow woodland at the mountain's base, still within this bubble world. Then suddenly, Echidna senses magic activating around her and several spells launch themselves without any incantation or focus. The terrifying part isn't that she can't hear Rune casting them. Magic could be silenced by specific words or items. It's that Rune didn't even move her lips or use any tool. Nothing glowed on her clothing, only the small pouch at her belt, radiating harmless spatial magic, suggested anything magical at all. If there were magic inside that pouch, it was so well concealed she couldn't detect it. That was silent magic without focus. Why did you do that? What do you want from me? Echidna asks now, completely terrified, and pale, if a red-skinned demon can go pale. Silent magic and tool-less casting are special skills. So, as I suspected, I am particularly talented in magic. Anyway, I brought you here because I didn't want us to be overheard. These wards are simple defenses against pointy ears in places they shouldn't be. What I want to discuss is your innate magic. Eye of absolute truth. It's fascinating, and you used it on me. Since you clearly saw my potential, I assume that's why you vomited. I didn't think anyone like you existed. Your innate magic could be invaluable to my research, but you must understand that I can't let you walk away with this knowledge of my potential. I don't know how strong your power is, but I'm not eager for anyone else to learn the wrong things about me, Rune says, her crimson, unblinking eyes fixed on Echidna. Rune's smile stiffens, unnatural, as if she'd forgotten what emotion fits the moment. She seems lost in thought, watching the trembling demon before her. Relax. I'm not going to kill you. Not here, anyway. This is another mage's domain. But you never know what could happen if one thing leads to another, Rune murmurs as she paces. Birdsong drifts through the clearing and strange rustlings echo in the underbrush. Echidna realizes this isn't a random spot, it's rich with magical signatures. Even the most powerful mage would struggle to trace every spell cast here. The same laws of magic bind the creator of this bubble world as any other, so theoretically, with enough preparation, a murder could occur here undetected, even by someone far more powerful than Rune. I won't tell a soul. Promise, Echidna says, sweat tracing pale trails down her face. I wasn't worried, Rune replies. You're frightened enough, and I can tell you're not faking. But I want to know what you saw, and I want to taste your blood. That could be useful. A bit of blood magic might eliminate my risk. I just need to find the right ritual. Maybe I could test some spells on you if you're incooperative. Who knows what I'll decide later. Now tell me what you saw, Rune says, pressing Echidna against a tree. For a moment, Echidna's heart skips a beat, but this time it's not just fear. Butterflies flutter where they shouldn't. Rune doesn't notice, but Echidna does, and it makes no sense. She can't deny the excitement mingling with her terror. She feels a twisted thrill at being treated this way. Mustering her courage, Echidna asks the question burning in her soul. Though she doubts she'll get an answer, she has to try. How do you know what my innate magic is? How did you discover I used it on you? That shouldn't be possible, and you have innate magic too, something very similar to mine. Yes, you could say I have a matching innate magic, but that doesn't answer my question, Rune replies, her tone menacing. To Echidna's surprise, Rune's gaze stills, not with fear, but with curiosity, and her scent changes. Why does that turn her on? Echidna's pulse races, her skin warming as she emits pheromones clearly not born of fear. Is she some creature whose excitement triggers this? It's definitely not the smell of panic. These odors have faded. Great, another yandere or psycho, Rune thinks, irritated that magic always seems to amplify extremes. Rune briefly wonders why all innate magics she's seen so far have proper names. It seems odd that a power would have a title the user didn't choose for themselves. My magic, as you know, lets me see another person's true potential. I see it as a sort of white flame around them. That flame is usually constant and static over time. My ability blends precognition with magical vision. Yours, however, appears as a brilliant white flame. Almost like a miniature sun, your potential is greater than anything I've ever witnessed. When I used my magic on you, your flame filled this entire world, turning everything white. I nearly stumbled because I couldn't see when I shone my magic on you, Echidna explains, her trembling easing now that she's spoken. I could simply make you a vampire, Rune says, her tone deceptively casual as she studies Echidna. If I transform you, you won't suffer the open racism and bullying that demons face here. You'd gain protection and status, and I would shield you from those who would torment you. In return, you would be under my ward and my oversight. I would be your protector. That's already something. You see, by heredity one can become something. And you needn't be afraid. I've decided that it benefits me more to have friends. You will simply be my friend, and if I see that you're worthy of trust, I can one day turn you into a vampire once I have enough data. I won't be like one of those typical villains, and I dislike lying, so I'll tell you how this will work. You will swear on your magic that you will not reveal my secrets unless I explicitly permit it, and in return I will protect you, if you wish. I may be a bit crazy, but I am not evil. If you present no risk and no longer wish to speak with me, I understand, but I will monitor whether you betray anything or break your oath. I may even take a sample of your blood, though I can also swear by my magic that I will do you no harm if you do nothing to endanger me. Of course, we'll need to iron out the details, but that is essentially my offer, Rune says, speaking honestly. Time passes as Rune and Echidna continue chatting, the tension eases, and they realize they can understand one another. What they say remains between them once the binding oaths are spoken. Even experienced mages would find it nearly impossible to break these vows. This day marks the moment Rune found a surprising comrade in a way that even she did not expect. It only confirms the suspicion that magic users are always peculiar. Okina seems to have enjoyed the exchange, and by the end her heart no longer races from fear. But what matters much more to Rune now is her plan for Nathan Godfield, the young man whose power could change everything. It's surprisingly simple to give him the healing potions and ensure he drinks them. The more difficult part is the sleeping draft that must send him into a deeper slumber. How should I best do this? I wonder if I could cook something. If I prepare it myself, I could mix it in most easily, Rune thinks, realizing that her plan hinges on this final step. And so it comes to pass that Rune Silverstar, heir to Dracula Silverstar, attempts to learn cooking, guided by YouTube tutorials. Naturally, it makes for a bizarre sight to her roommates. When Argon, Mia, Nathan, and the others enter the room. "Hey, cool that you're trying something new. If you'd like, I can teach you how to cook," Mia offers. Rune gratefully accepts Mia's friendly proposal. Argon merely looks down on her and retreats to his room without a word. Nathan Godfield sits quietly, dipping his bare feet into the fountain's water, saying nothing. Rune doesn't much mind why Argon remains so sour. He doesn't play a significant role in her life. He can be tiresome with his black and white worldview, but at least he's not foolish enough to provoke a fight. And while Rune thinks of her roommate Argon, she continues learning to cook, finding it more complex than she expected yet surprisingly enjoyable. Evening arrives, and Rune watches as everyone enjoys the meal she prepared, though she hasn't yet put her plan into action. It's crucial that no one suspects her, so it must look natural that she's simply developed a love for cooking. Ideally, Nathan won't notice anything unusual the first time. By the next morning, Rune considers cooking again but decides against it. Doing so too often would draw attention. Instead, she plans to alternate between lunch and dinner, making it unclear which meal contains the sleeping potion. She also looks forward to her next elementalism class, where they study the elements of fire, earth, wind, light, shadow, and water. The course is full of wonders and surprisingly difficult, even for Rune. The theory behind how spells work is complex, especially when combining elements. If you think about it, is this course simply called elementalism, or are there other names? Oh, whatever, Rune thinks, noting that some call it by different titles, but it remains the foundational class where the basics of magic are taught. Rune also finds it amusing that magic can do things beyond imagination, yet certain conceivable effects remain impossible. Magic still has limits. From what she's seen, it's not possible to form air into a solid blade like in anime. Air, even when manipulated, can't become a cutting edge. However, she could create invisible blades or use magic to split a tree without anyone noticing. And she could craft a spell that looks exactly like wind blades from anime series. Observing her peers, Rune notices that every mage at the school, including the director, either speaks their incantations aloud or whispers them, or uses a magical focus, wands and other items. It's clear that a focus can come in any form: glasses, hats, earrings, making it much harder to identify someone's focus in battle. Not once does she see anyone casting silent, focus-free magic. Intent-based magic is incredibly rare, she realizes. It's good I bought a wand so I can pretend to cast with a focus, Rune thinks. Although it feels constraining, spells are just a way to structure and execute one's will. But when I know exactly what I want, I can use intent-based magic faster and more efficiently than a wand. At least people don't stare at me so much now, though they're still uneasy with a vampire in their school. I'm guessing vampire families teach magic separately or send their children to special academies, she reflects as she overhears teachers warning students about the temptations of dark magic. Yet Rune knows there's no true, good, or evil in magic. It's neutral energy, like any other type in the universe. Only a handful of people go mad with power, in her experience. Having read that the most powerful mages, those who don't care what others think, use both white and black magic, Rune concludes that these forms of magic don't cancel each other out like positive and negative charges. She's determined not to restrict herself like those who believe in tales of good and evil. Blood magic, dark magic, any form she can learn will become part of her arsenal. She knows this will earn her scorn or persecution, but if her plan succeeds, no one will dare bully her for long. By next weekend, once I've copied all of Nathan Godfield's magic, I'll begin creating my first spirits and see which emotions and energies yield the strongest entities. If I need negative energy, I can harness that produced by dust eaters. creatures said to possess the darkest minds in the universe. Since they have souls and live, they must generate negative energy. I'll explore that once I master my innate magic, Rune thinks. Meanwhile, after I confirm whether Nathan truly cares for me, I'll make him do a split in front of me. That should trigger his magic. Since he won't connect it to me, he won't suspect I set it off. And I need to find someone, probably a girl, but maybe a boy, before whom I can do a split. I also need to discover more innate magics among the humans and mythological beings here that I can copy or activate. If I find a harmless trigger, I can make someone set it off and see if it drains my energy. I must learn whether I can train my ability to see and understand others' innate magic. What are you thinking about, Rune? We have class, a voice says. One Rune doesn't immediately recognize. When Rune turns, she sees a woman with dark green hair, violet eyes, and yellow irises. Her skin is pale lilac. She wears sunglasses and has pointed ears. Her hair seems alive, floating around her like aquarium tentacles, except these locks twist into a hybrid of snakes and strands, strongly hinting at her mythological heritage. Who are you? Rune asks. My name is Medusa, and no, I'm not the Medusa from the old legends. That was one of my ancestors. Honestly, I don't know why my parents gave me that name, Medusa says with a rueful chuckle, then smiles directly at Rune. People always gasp and ask if I'll turn them to stone when I look at them. I get tired of explaining it. Rune feels the classroom noise dim for a moment as sunlight catches in the dark green hair that coils and floats almost thoughtfully. Can you actually turn someone to stone? Rune asks, curiosity brightening her face. In theory, yes, but I'm not remotely powerful enough yet, and I prefer to keep my theatrics minimal, Medusa replies, candid and almost amused. I didn't come here to boast about curses. I came because I heard your Prince Dracula Silverstar's heir. I want to duel you, nothing fatal, mind you, just a spar. I want to see what you can do. Medusa's grin is wide, feral but friendly, and there's a bluntness to her that reads more as honest enthusiasm than rudeness. Rune expected many things from the Academy, but not that a living descendant of a Medusa would stroll up and ask for a friendly fight. It's clear Medusa's innate magic isn't unleashed into an instant death power, yet, but its signature intrigues Rune. Her innate magic, vengeance of Mother Earth, is truly fascinating and powerful, one I'd very much like to possess, Rune thinks. Why do you want to fight me? Rune asks. A duel usually serves to settle a grievance, and formal duels have rules. Why now? Don't be so formal, Medusa says, shrugging in a relaxed, open way. I'm not after legalities. Think of it as training or curiosity. I want to test my limits and yours. If things get dangerous, I'll back off. Also, full disclosure, I've heard ancient vampires are like cockroaches, annoyingly hard to kill. No offense, I call them like I see them. Her tone is blunt but cheerful. Rune doesn't bristle. She finds the honesty refreshing rather than insulting. Rune sees no harm in a light spar. She could learn how well she fights without a wand and gauge her control over blood and healing, and a brief match wouldn't derail her larger scheme to copy Nathan Godfield's innate magic. If I play this smart, I can deduce her race. She must be a basilisk or a similar humanoid hybrid. Many legendary creatures, like dragons, have lesser humanoid variants, such as the draconids who wield draconic magic. Why not the same for basilisks or hydras? Perhaps Medusa here is a lower form of that lineage. But I could add a condition, Rune thinks, gazing over the lush meadow where they practice elementalism. Nearby, classmates aim at targets while a handful, including Rune's group, go about their practice under the teacher's casual watch. The instructor, an accomplished elemental mage whose name slips Rune's memory, stands with a cool, measured expression and a slight, almost amused smile. Rune isn't worried about any theatrics. Laws and limits of magic still hold. When Rune looks to the horizon, she senses a shift beyond sight, a feeling that this era of magic and wonder is ending and a new age is dawning. Part of her feels her heart race at the thought. It's awe-inspiring how much this world could change in weeks or months. She wonders what to call this new epic, and the name comes to her, the Age of Revelation. I'd prefer to have our match somewhere a bit farther away. I don't know how destructive your powers are, Medusa says. That can't hurt, Rune replies, following Medusa, who gives no sign of hostile intent, though Rune insists on taking every precaution. You won't use silver or anything? Rune asks. No, I won't. But I understand your concern. If you'd like, you can search me. I don't mind you examining my body, but but I'd have to assume you have ill intent toward me instead of my personality, Medusa offers with a smile. No need. If you simply swear by your magic that, to your knowledge, you carry no silver and won't use any, that's enough for me, Rune says. Hey, fair enough, Medusa agrees, unfazed at the notion that she truly carries no silver. Though swearing on magic and on Elms, god of dreams and rainbows, is not to be taken lightly, such oaths can't be broken if stated carefully. Medusa swears, feigning mild annoyance that Rune doesn't want to inspect her precise frustration unclear, but ultimately inconsequential. They find a secluded clearing and prepare. You don't have to hold back as much as you might think. I'm tough, and I suspect you'll find it difficult to injure me permanently, Rune says, crouching and raising her hand. From a small pouch at her belt, she draws forth blood, molding it into a blade. Medusa smiles and, instead of forming blood, simply pulls a wand from her robes and points it at Rune. She meets Rune's gaze and counts down from 3, then, at 0, Rune launches herself forward with enough force to crack the earth beneath her into chunks of dirt and grass, rocketing toward Medusa, who matches her speed and strength. Solarum tuberlorum. Medusa shouts as fast as she can. No matter how quickly a spell is spoken, the opponent knows what's coming. Rune doesn't understand this incantation, but she recognizes the pale yellow beam, much slower than real light, emanating from Medusa's wand as something she must avoid. With a fluid motion, she ducks beneath the beam. As the spell whizzes past her hair, she feels her skin tingle and instantly catch fire over a large area, though her vampiric regeneration makes it a non-issue. The fact that she burns so quickly, however, confirms it was a vampiric anti-spell. Then a blinding orb of light materializes behind her, illuminating everything. The searing light immediately causes any exposed skin to begin to burn. That hurt, Rune says, evading another blast. Wow, you're really tough, Medusa admits, watching Rune's burned skin already heal within seconds. If she weren't standing there, Medusa wouldn't believe it either. As Medusa unleashes more volleys, Rune concedes that Medusa is a far better close-quarters fighter than herself, and equal muscle strength doesn't necessarily mean equal skill. Medusa leaps backward several meters, murmurs another incantation, and almost instantly dozens of light bolts rain down on Rune, each one both a blinding flare and a source of immense heat, blending fire and light magic. Rune crouches as the hail of light spells approaches, then leaps as high as she can. As the bolts stream under her, she sees Medusa re-aiming her wand. This time, however, Rune trusts her own tactic. She's already falling and can't fight midair, for gravity still applies. Huh, those spells disappeared. They must have struck something that neutralized them. Who set up this barrier? Rune wonders, noticing a soap bubble shimmering dome enclosing their battlefield. It wasn't there moments ago. Since no one else seems concerned by their duel, Rune assumes it's not a serious problem. In Furnace, Medusa intones. Though the spell theoretically could summon catastrophic wildfires, it's limited by her magical capacity. Medusa unleashes a small but intense blaze, like a contained forest fire covering part of the clearing. It's hot enough to hurt a vampire, but not lethal. I should block this with some ice magic, Rune thinks, focusing on the flames and drawing the oxygen out. When Rune casts her first entirely intent-based spell, she realizes that even vampires, who can hold their breath and survive without air, struggle when oxygen is removed. Her magic extinguishes the blaze by pulling oxygen from the surrounding air. Once it's done, she notes the air remains heavy with smoke and heat. But thanks to her innate magic, Ouroboros, god of echoes, she can perceive Medusa's ability and take aim. She summons the blood-formed spear and blade and hurls them both at high speed toward her opponent. As a sudden gust of wind clears the smoke, Rune sees Medusa impaled by the spear, yet catch the blade in her hands. As described, Medusa remains largely unhindered, though visibly weakened. For Rune, it's a stark reminder to be cautious. When mythical beings possess such unfair resilience and regeneration, combat becomes treacherous. Medusa rises again despite her wound. Rune concentrates on one of the many innate magics she's already copied and calls back her blood weapons, guided by her blood telekinesis. She admits it's been a thrilling fight, one that's tested her martial skill, an area where she has little experience. I need a short break, then we can continue, Medusa says, beginning to heal. Okay, that was interesting. I heard this morning we're going to expel the first troublemakers from the academy soon. I didn't expect it to happen so quickly, but I get the feeling someone in my dorm is about to get the boot, Rune says. That's only fair. Only those with potential to improve are welcome here. People who laze around with no magical talent can return to their families. I think it's a good system. Everyone has the chance to better themselves, and those who don't face consequences. There's no fixed quota, but it's never been more than 10% of each intake. Usually it's under 10. Medusa explains. As they continue talking, they notice the barrier still holds them inside its half-sphere. Hey, what do you think about magic being slowly revealed? I believe most countries already know of its existence, and it's only a matter of days before it's made official. I've heard human research groups are studying werewolves and their self-healing. Some poachers even died. They say werewolves are clever. I read in a magical newspaper that a werewolf gave himself away by stealing the cameraman's phone and smashing it, Rune says. All right, I'm done regenerating. You too, it seems. I'll pay for both of us if our clothes get ruined. As for the revelation of magic, I'm not too concerned. My kingdom is well protected, and I doubt humans will find Atlantis anytime soon, Medusa says. Wait, are you saying Atlantis really exists? I didn't know that, but now that I think about it, it could be true. There are dragons, vampires, and more. What is Atlantis like? Is it really underwater? Rune asks, curious. Yep, Atlantis is underwater. The story about it sinking isn't accurate. We simply relocated the city a few thousand years ago because humans annoyed us so much by trying to conquer it. My parents lived through that period and were injured by humans multiple times, Medusa says, readying herself for the next round of their duel. But when Medusa leaps toward Rune, Rune launches herself at her in return. This time it's simply a contest to see who can take more before collapsing, like a street fight without the risk of permanent injury. Medusa is swift and graceful, while Rune fights with wild determination, unconcerned for her own safety. Medusa has to admit that Rune can afford to push herself. Idirium Draguna, Medusa murmurs under her breath, barely audible. Infernus. Rune shouts, feeling oddly self-conscious as she announces her spell, making it somewhat pointless. As Rune's unfamiliar spell takes effect, a wall of flame bursts up in front of her, roaring toward Medusa. Lacking precision, the spell engulfs a large area in fire. But then it happens. A spear shoots through the wall of flame. Rune barely dodges, but only partially, as she realizes too late. From the ground and sky, more ice spears explode forth, leaving little room to evade. At the last second, Rune scrambles to the side and narrowly escapes. Are you okay? I didn't mean to aim for your head. Medusa calls out, concerned. Yeah, I'm okay, Rune replies, cracking her neck back into place. When the flames die down, Medusa runs to Rune and lets her ice constructs melt into water. Even Medusa, who has seen plenty of gruesome sights, finds it astonishing to see a vampire still standing with multiple holes in her arms, especially moments after being pierced. The blood that had dripped onto the ground and mixed with the water seems to flow back into the wounds, while more droplets emerge from a small floating crystal, its origin unclear. Medusa frowns as she watches Rune's bones realign and her flesh knit back together at lightning speed. Even the blood soaked into Rune's sleeves retracts on its own. Within about 15 seconds, all trace of what should have been fatal injuries has vanished. Holy shit, are you serious? How extreme is your regeneration? A few seconds ago you were completely perforated, and now you've stitched yourself back together. Okay, that's creepy. I couldn't have handled that, Medusa says. That's enough, both of you. Class is over. I'm lowering the barrier. You should stop now, a female voice announces. Once again, it's clear how relaxed the teachers at Intermagics are. As long as two students don't murder each other or cause lasting harm that requires a healer, everything's considered fine. Because both combatants possess powerful healing factors, the staff doesn't seem to mind that they've been trading lethal spells that would instantly kill anyone without regeneration. According to what Rune learns from Medusa while they return to their classmates, such duels are technically forbidden unless both participants are known to regenerate. Thus, it's not treated as attempted murder, and no punishment follows. So I could literally cut your head off, and if you survived, there'd be no penalty. Rune asks, surprised by the lax rules. Exactly. As long as you don't use forbidden spells, like blood curses that would kill me, it's no problem, Medusa confirms. But if blood magic is forbidden, why isn't this? Rune asks, swirling a sphere of blood in the air. That's not blood magic. That's water magic applied to blood. Blood magic specifically involves sacrifices to gain power. Manipulating blood itself isn't blood magic, Medusa explains, looking relaxed. And what's wrong with sacrifices? If I kill something to use its body, it's no different from hunting a deer and eating it. You sacrifice it and gain its meat. I understand you shouldn't do that with thinking beings, but... Rune trails off as she's interrupted. Rune finds it ridiculous that they can't even discuss hypothetical scenarios. Irritated by this, she senses she's stepping on too many toes. What are you all staring at? It's just a question, Rune says, annoyed by their gawking looks. Everyone, listen up, an announcement from the top. The Arcanum has learned that some true dragons, especially the younger generation, are willing, in light of magic's revelation to the non-magical world, to bond with talented students. In other words, this Christmas there will be a special event where a few true dragons will choose dragon riders. You have until then to learn more. That's all I had to say. There may be other announcements from other teachers, the eccentric elementalism instructor says. No sooner is she done than a murmur ripples through the students, the noise rising, until a single spell is cast, and the chatter instantly softens. Rune recognizes it as a sound manipulation spell she's never heard before. Conversations continue, but the overall volume has dropped significantly. That's a handy spell. I should learn that one. But tonight I have more important things than memorizing more incantations. As far as I know, I already know around 100 spells in various disciplines. Then again, spells are useful only until I master them well enough to cast with pure intent. Imagine calling, fireball, and conjuring an ice wall with the other hand. That would be hilarious, Rune thinks. As the groups of students slowly break up, Rune realizes she has no idea what to do during the break. She's neither hungry nor thirsty, and she doesn't really have friends to talk to. Her roommates, those assigned to her dorm at the start of the school year, might be expelled in the coming weeks or months if they don't hit the right marks, if they lack the proper talents or can't learn, or simply don't grasp what needs to be learned. Why bother making friends now if they'll be gone in a few months? My life is long enough to find long-term companions later. I know that might sound odd to most people, but I really don't want to befriend a mortal, even if that mortal, as a mage, might live 100 or 150 years. That's nothing compared to my life. Maybe later I'll develop an interest in men or women. I wouldn't mind discovering I like women, or men, or both. For now I'll head the other way, Rune thinks, wandering aimlessly through the surprisingly large, beautiful pocket dimension. Her plan, build trust with Nathan Godfield through cooking and slip the sleeping potion into his food, should hopefully work, she tells herself. Another thing nags at her as she walks. It's surprising how much of the campus she still hasn't seen, even though the walkways all share the same white silvery or golden style, the lanterns and little pavilions alternating at regular intervals. The rainbow-colored flames, with their strange light and lack of heat, remain utterly enchanting. They feel like the most magical thing in this place. Can you even say that one thing in this pocket dimension is more magical than another? It just feels more wondrous. The other lanterns are nothing more than glass cages and some slime that occasionally gets organic waste, Rune muses, as she crests a hill and finds a river cutting across the path. 12 meters wide, the water rushes fast, so how can a true river exist inside a pocket dimension? You can't constantly conjure water by magic forever, even the strongest wizards would run out eventually. Maybe this river actually flows from the real world into this pocket and back out again. That wouldn't be impossible with magic, just complicated. Then, with her sharpened senses as a true vampire and her pointed ears, literally pointier than a human's. Rune sniffs sweat and other bodily scents. Luckily, the weak shape-shifting ability all vampires possess lets them subtly alter their form over time. They can even make their ears look human. So vampires can pass as human if they want. From the direction of the sounds she now hears, moans. Rune guesses it's probably a pair or a small group of elves. Whether it's men, a man and several women, or multiple women, she isn't sure. Elves tend not to be open about their sexuality, and Rune isn't the least bit interested in watching. Am I asexual? Then, no interest in men or women, or do I just lack any taste for erotic things right now? Maybe someday I'll care. I'd have no problem discovering I prefer women, or men, or both. For now I'll take the other path, she thinks, turning left and heading down the hill away from the sounds and smells. It makes little sense to Rune to spy on people and try to blackmail them. She isn't one to meddle in such petty affairs, and these 30 minutes could be spent more productively than prying into others' business. Thinking about the coming revelation and how humans will react, she finds it hard to predict the outcome. Chaos will follow, strong emotions will flare, and technological development could be slowed. Space travel might be delayed for years. Climate change might be halted sooner or later by magical factions. Magical and technological progress on the magical side will continue, though perhaps more slowly, since long-lived beings like mythological creatures tend to advance more slowly than humans. After all, 13,000 years have passed since the fall of the high civilizations of Babylon, and if I think this through, she muses, the level of development Babylon reached won't return in the next 1,000 years, if at all. I really don't know what happened to that high culture. Babylon was just a city, so who built the civilization behind it? Elves. Fairies. Why can't I find solid information? Why is Babylon itself, even among the mythological world, something of a taboo or unknown? Something's off. I'll learn those secrets sooner or later. For now I should study magic. Still, I can't help but feel awe, she thinks, as birds rustle in the nearby forest and sunlight plays across the leaves, an excitement and admiration for the mythic, the unknown, the mysteries of the past, the legends and their magic. Rune realizes at once that she will never regret becoming a vampire. The secrets, the myths, everything is intoxicating and thrilling.
And that's it for today's episode, part 9 of The Curse of Bloodlust. If you want more, please leave a like, subscribe, and share the channel with a friend. Click the left side of the screen to watch my latest video, or the right side to open the playlist, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Until then, take care and goodbye.